Hello, we're live again. Loose Canon. This week we are talking about SIVA. Uh, the nanites that infected so many people back in the week before Rise of Iron. Remember that? How crazy that was? Who was the?
Yeah,
You remember the first person that was infected? Because it was like just like a random person, right? They were patient zero.
I don't know. I don't remember. I have no. I don't think I ever knew who the first person was.
It was a streamer. I remember it was a
Mm.
streamer because
I remember
so
there was some really cool integration between
yeah.
streams, like Bungie kind of posted in people's streams
Yeah.
and something. I remember that happening. That
Like
was
Bungie
cool.
made
Anyway,
an official Twitch account, like it was like owl
mm.
underscore sector, and they were like, "You have been infected," to some streamer,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "The hell is that? Like, what are you talking about?" And then like they just had nanites going around their head in the game. And they're like, "Wait, what's going on? Shit's going down,
Yeah, that
and you
was
don't
That was
cool.
know."
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That was.
that was a fun time. And they made the website that was like showing the
Hmm.
escalation of nanites, and everyone wanted to have all the nanites because you can once you got it, that was all you can get. So you needed to get them all at once or not at all.
Hmm.
That was a good
I
time. That
I
was good
remember.
community building.
I remember, Anon, you gave me all the nanites.
Did I?
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I got them all from someone else.
yeah. And
There's a good
I hadn't been on, and then I was like, and you were telling me, like, if you don't get them all at once, you can't get them all.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but is it a good thing to get them all? Like, is that better or is it worse? But then anyway, I went on and you gave me all of them. So
I
yeah,
got I got mine from Fuzzle. He was doing a thing and he said, "Hey, if you haven't
huh,
gotten them, jump on."
cool.
it's kind of like the Tom Lehrer song, if you know him. The song "I Got It from Agnes."
I'm not
The
familiar with that
the
song.
chorus goes, "I got it from Agnes, she got it from Jim, and we all agree it must have been from Louise who gave it to him. Now she got it from Harry, who got it from Marie, and everybody know that Marie got it from me."
Hang on,
Nice.
that doesn't make any sense at all.
Sorry,
Oh,
coming off the
That's
cold.
okay.
maybe taste.
Uh,
Wow.
but
I feel like I need to draw a diagram, but that doesn't make yeah, it's fine. Doesn't make
yeah,
any sense.
it definitely doesn't work. But
Yeah.
so the nanites were just the start of Siva. They were like the introduction that something was coming in the Rise of Iron, and it was really exciting to be around in that time. It's like one of those things that like anyone who wasn't there is just gonna be like, I don't know what the hell you had like little specks of dust. You thought that was cool flying around your head. Like, why is that cool? But like it was such a moment to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was being released in
Hmm.
small clips and you could read all the lore about it and who the
Yeah.
patients were that were being and Dr. Shirazi. It
Hmm.
was some
How it
great
affected the
stuff.
Golden Age, how it was affecting. We found out that Ikora was actually dating a civilian,
Hmm.
or has dated a civilian.
And Cade was a bit of a dick, actually.
Was he?
Was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't he
Because
like,
that
yes,
the
Jim?
civilian guy was it what was his
Shun.
name again? Yeah, was he not getting treatment or something? There was some
Well, he was
he
like
was
dying.
affected. Yeah, and Cade was a bit like, ah, Cora's dating a normal person, ha. And she was like now's not really the time, and he was like, it's like
He's
okay,
gonna
yeah,
die because he's human.
yeah. That's basically what it came across like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. This is yeah,
And then
uh,
all
What's
the
funny is
Guardians
it didn't
liked it.
even, yeah, and
yeah.
it didn't even do anything but cause them to dance around and be a little bit manic.
Hmm.
Because for a Guardian, it's fun. Like it
Yeah.
gave us like increased loot gains, right? Like increased experience or something. It actually
Did
had like
it?
beneficial effect to be infected.
I don't remember what it did now.
Did it give us XP boost?
I think it was an XP boost, but it was like
Oh,
a flat XP boost. You couldn't get extra for having multiple nanites, but you would get
Hmm.
like a small XP boost. So like obviously every Guardian's like, oh, I'm getting stronger with this thing. Like I'm getting whatever the hell what did we used to get? Motes of light back then. It's like, oh, I'm getting
Hmm.
extra motes of light. Let's go.
Hmm.
Good times.
strange.
I don't remember that, but yeah, maybe yeah, been a long time. I hope they do something cool. I mean, like there are a lot of great things about Destiny 2, especially since Forsaken. So, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to kind of push my luck by saying this, but that was a really cool event, and I hope that
Yeah,
we
that was
have some
awesome.
more events like that. Yeah, it was really
Yeah, I
good.
agree. I'd like to see more stuff like that. It's definitely time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now is the time
Start
that we should
something.
see it.
Yeah.
Well, it was just before Rise of Iron.
Yeah. And this is the last week before, or this Tuesday is the 1 week until Season of Opulence. So if we
But
were
at the
to get
same
something,
time, I feel as though, yeah, if we were to get something for Season of Opulence, now would be the time. But I feel as though it might not be until whatever the September release
yeah,
is,
that's fair.
since that's the bigger thing,
I mean, if there is a September release, but like, I really hope
True.
that they do it because it's like every time, and they did it for Black Armory, but every time, um, we had that. We had the Swords of Crota, we had the wolves prowling, we had the Siva
Hmm.
nanites. Taken King had the Taken, and that was horrible. And and
Well,
then Black Armory had its saboteurs, and they were just like around, and so people were like
Yeah.
farming the saboteurs just to try to get a gun that they're probably not using today. Like,
Yeah.
even if
saboteurs.
it's pointless, it's fun, and that's all that matters in the end of at the
Yeah.
end of it. So I really hope. I mean, I hope Siva is in Season of Opulence as like a prominent entity, but I
Hmm.
also especially hope that if it is, that we do see something like leading up to it, because to go from 0 hour to Season of Opulence and see nothing Siva related feels almost misleading, I guess.
Mm.
Because in Warmind it was about taking out the Hive God on Mars, and we were teaming up with the Warmind Rasputin, and it was very much Hive Rasputin, Hive Rasputin. And then out of nowhere, we had the Whisper mission, and it was so heavily focused on Taken. And it's like Taken have just taken a serious backseat for a while. They were like,
Hmm.
aside from being in the missions with getting our new supers, they were kind of pointless. But then Forsaken comes, and the intro campaign of Forsaken was Scorn, but the end game campaign was very much the Taken, how they're infesting the Dreaming City. So it
Hmm.
almost feels like is 0 hour kind of a mirror to the Whisper,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
is that what it's is it kind of foreshadowing what we're about to be seeing?
Yeah. That might make sense as well.
Well,
I mean, obviously,
I would hope so. Yeah, Baxter. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
that's okay.
One of you go.
You go, Rhino. I can wait.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say real quick. If anything is to be proven by Bungie's history
Mm-hmm.
on how they foreshadow just from the snips in the game, it usually does pan out in the future in the way of events. I mean, even little tiny things in the armory happen 6 months before something comes out, and I mean, we had Siva drops as far as just little hints all the way to the beginning of Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
But go
Mm.
ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a few things that could have been foreshadowed over the last few months. Recently with the end of the Invitations of the Nine.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's been foreshadowing of
The
the
pyramids.
pyramids for a long time. We haven't really heard that much. Obviously there was the scene in Mara's
Hmm.
court.
Two scenes.
Um, yeah. Two scenes
Mm-hmm.
involving the pyramids.
Yeah, there was the one where we walked in and she made like no mention of them, and then on the last time she was there, she says how she's going off to fight a war, and they were there again.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember them being
Yeah.
there the second time.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously with the last invitation of the nine, or was it the penultimate invitation of the nine?
It was both. The
Mm,
last two brought them up.
yeah. So there's definitely, that they're definitely foreshadowing that. Obviously, that's a bigger event. I would be more surprised if Season of Opulence mentioned the pyramids. Well, not mentioned the pyramids, involved the pyramids.
Highly
Um,
focused.
yeah, yeah. But you never know. I mean, it could
Mhm.
be that the foreshadowing of Siva is for a later
Yeah.
event. You know,
Right.
I mean, if I had to bet, I'd say that it's more likely that Siva would be involved in Season of Opulence,
Hmm.
and Pyramids would be involved in the next release, whenever that is.
So
But you never know.
if you actually go all the way back when Destiny 2 launched, we had our first actual in-game introduction to the pyramids. Until then, they were just
Hmm.
like they were the concept art, you know, they were just always in the
Hmm.
background, and we're immediately off topic from Siva. But so just to finish this thought off. And you know, we see them, they wake up, they're obviously coming and stuff. And then Curse of Osiris Warmind doesn't really talk about them at all, but then we get Forsaken, which in Mars Court we see them twice, they're referenced, and then we get Black Armory, and in Black Armory we have a story of people surviving the collapse, and it's like, well, what are they surviving the collapse from? And it's like, was it the pyramids? And actually in Destiny 2, the black and white cutscene, we see the pyramids again. So just to uh, say that really fast. And now in
Hmm.
Season of the Drifter, we see it with the Nine, we see it with the Drifter, how they are the threat that's coming. Somehow the Drifter has destiny to fight them. And now we have Season of Opulence, and Callus has talked about knowing an enemy that's going to be coming, knowing an enemy that's much stronger than the darkness itself. So if the pyramids are unaligned with the darkness, if they are their own force, maybe they are the threat that Callus is waiting on and kind of expecting to come, and he'll like maybe throughout the events of Season of Opulence, he'll be like, all right, I'm just going to spell it out to you. This is the enemy that's coming. Like, this is what you need to be ready for.
Hmm.
Because they have not let up on it since Forsaken.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
constantly been drilling it into our minds that pyramids are coming. They are a thing. They are the threat.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the pyramids are the overarching story narrative that's been looming ever since the beginning of the game. And all of these other events are the things that are happening to us that kind of culminate into one bigger storyline.
Mm.
But what surprises me the most is how these things keep being reintroduced into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're about to see Siva again
In some form.
in some capacity. But
Hmm.
like the little hints that were getting dropped, like with the gun, I'm wondering if somehow, you know, just on speculation, I'm wondering if somehow Siva has figured out a way to, um, I guess, perfect itself.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I mean,
So,
that would be Siva's rampancy, you know, if it perfected itself, right? If it was thinking on its own.
Which it doesn't, but because it
Does
takes
it?
no, Siva was defined by Bungie writers in the Rise of Iron as having no conscious will of its own, and it needs forced direction from an outside entity. So it's basically map program. But the thing that the Fallen fell for is they believed that Siva was, in fact, um, it's like that thing where the Fallen believed Siva was the great, or I guess the Splicers
Mm-hmm.
believe that the Siva was the great answer to, you know, the next step of ascending or becoming
Siva-ness is
great.
close to godliness.
Yeah, and in order to do that, in order for them to ascend to the next plane, they had to abandon all of their own free will. And
Mm-hmm.
Siva was basically just map direction. And so they fell for this idea that that somehow abandoning all your free will was giving yourself up to the Siva, which meant that's how you ascend.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you saying, okay, well, I'm just going to go with it and then give up all of my worldly control, and that's how I'll ascend to greatness, you know. But they didn't realize that it's just Siva, and it's just needed force direction, and it was basically consuming you.
Mm-hmm.
but then where does the consume, enhance, replicate is the constant kind of mantra that you see associated with Siva. So if Siva doesn't have any will of its own, I mean, does that come from? I mean, that was something that we saw before the devils ever got hold of Siva. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like the Iron Lords certainly didn't want to use Siva to enhance them. Well, we don't know exactly what the Iron Lords were planning on doing, but I don't think like this consume enhance replicate seems to predate the devils by quite a long time. So if
Something
that's
happened to Siva to turn it the way it is, and it's I mean, rampancy is a big that's a lot of things. That's an I would say an overused explanation for any kind of computational entity within any sci-fi realm. Um, I think what Bungie is trying to say is that when the Iron Lords found Siva, they found a corrupted version of Siva,
Hmm.
and they got way more than they bargained for. The Iron Lords went looking for Siva because they saw it as a solution to the world, their worlds at the time, their world's problems, and the
Mhm.
best way to rectify uh, the crappy life that they were going through. And when they found it, they found a really bad version of Siva. So something happened to Siva before the Iron Lords got to it.
Well, I mean, that's what I would consider Siva's rampancy. Siva. Well, when the Iron Lords got to Siva, it was Rasputin that was at the time controlling it and telling it to destroy them. But it was when the
Uh-huh.
devils got to it that it kind of released it. That it seemed like it was becoming more. You can look at the raid weapons that we got. Their transition from the weapons they originally were to the Sivified weapons to then at the Moments of Triumph weapon when they became exotic, we see that the Siva evolves them. It evolves its original base to the Sivified version, and then to the exotic version, it mentions things like it's replicating gunsmith signatures, it's replicating Shirazi signatures. So it sounds like it's unlocking its own like codes, the things that would demand it to do something. It is doing. It is demanding its own will, Like that's why I
Right.
say it's rampancy. And if you look at Axis in his final times, Axis mentions not making his own decisions. He mentions we froze. We good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
good.
sure because I think I don't know. Either way,
Hmm.
Axis really threw me off there. Axis mentions how he wasn't
Well,
making his own
there's.
decisions. And
Mhm.
if Axis isn't making his decisions, then who's making his decisions? Siva is making his
Yeah.
decisions. Ah, crap. Here, you
Are we
guys
Here's
still
the
just talk. I'm
talking?
going to
crazy.
make sure this is okay.
Yeah.
Everything seemed fine from me.
Yeah, it looks good here. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Okay, should we just talk? Well, anyway, I mean, I guess I know what you're saying. I don't. I feel as though I don't think Siva has necessarily been corrupted. I think this is just what Siva has always been like. I feel as though even in the information that we have from the Golden Age, it required a lot of control. We needed minds to make sure that it didn't do things that it wasn't supposed to do. And even then, when we have the recordings from the ship that was carrying Siva, it said that it felt as though Siva was like pushing on it and like testing the boundaries and trying to, I feel as though Siva is like
Trying to
this.
learn.
I don't even know if I'd say trying to learn. I'd say Siva Siva was learning. Siva is a like the fact that it took active control to make sure that it behaved the way that it was supposed to.
Well,
I
see, that's the
think.
thing about Siva in its form that we were introduced to during Rise of Iron. I'm not talking about now. Like maybe now it's evolving to a point, and maybe it's because of rampancy, or maybe it's because of some outside force has learned how to impose some sort of new maybe an upgrade to it. It's like almost like a software upgrade to it. But as it was before originally, in order for SIVA to uh, to do what it needed to do, it needed direction, and it took an outside uh, force to map that direction. But the problem with the tainted version of SIVA that we were introduced to is it seemed to spread erratically without any type of direction. So if you came in contact with it and you could use that to your advantage, you'd end up being somewhat like a splicer or whatever. But we have people in game who used it, so it means that it just it didn't spread on its own how we saw it.
I think though, like I know what you're saying. There is evidence that says that the earliest form of SIVA required programming for it to be able to behave as we wanted, and I agree with that. But I think there's also evidence from the Golden Age that even at that point, SIVA required a lot of power to control. If it's something that only follows orders, then what is it that you're controlling? Like
Yeah, I think that's the
I feel
big
as though.
problem is like maybe the Braves mistook some of that as well. And maybe the Warmind himself, Rasputin, uh thought that he had control over it, and it got away from him. We don't. I guess the problem is that we don't know we still don't know to this day exactly why it did what it did, and that's the biggest problem. Because if we knew the why, then we would know, hey, there is a key component to this. But for all we know, as it is, it's almost like electricity. We understand it to a degree, and we can harness its energy. But at the end of the day, we still do not have 100% origin point for how it is created. We understand it. We know how to make it. We know how to use it. We know how to harness it. We know how to keep it from killing each other. But at the end of the day, when you come down to the very molecular, atomic level, we still don't know an origin point. And I think SIVA kind of follows that same logic. Like we don't know specifically why it's doing what it's doing. We just know how to control it to a point.
Well, I just want to say, because like with SIVA, the way that we know so much about SIVA is through the lore series, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, but they were siva.mem.number, and it was a series. So they're SIVA memory files in a series. And we start at the beginning of SIVA. And I don't think anyone said, hey, record literally everything you ever hear. Like, remember everything. So right at the start of SIVA, it was already absorbing knowledge, at the very least. It was absorbing how people communicate to each other, how they plan, how Chen Lanshu, the general who was like part of the Warmind project, I think, whatever the hell it was, SIVA was made for the Exodus program. It was made to be like, we're going to put SIVA on an Exodus ship. We're going to send it out to space. When we get to a new planet, we're just going to build a city with SIVA. It'll be done in a minute, and it'll be habitable. And Chen Lanshu's like, let's use that as a weapon. And so like SIVA right then and there is learning. People are like, oh, I can be more than what I'm intended for.
So you're saying, I never thought of that. So are you saying that SIVA, the MEM recordings were from SIVA?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because you pick up a SIVA fragment, you get the SIVA memory file. It's in every situation it was somewhere with SIVA.
So it was hard coded within the SIVA that you picked up.
Yeah, that's how I've perceived it personally.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That makes. I mean, logic.
Do you disagree, Baxter?
No, I think that makes sense. I had always presumed that Siva.mem was the memory that Siva had,
Hmm.
you know.
That's
Um,
cool.
I'm just still hung up on the electricity analogy.
Oh, I'm
Don't.
sorry. Look,
No, it's okay. I think we should
I'm just
just.
saying,
But
I
yeah,
was just saying, like, you can be an electrician and you can know how to
Hmm,
safely work with electricity. But at the end of the day, even electricians can get shocked.
yeah, that was me being shocked.
okay.
I don't know why I did that, but it was great. Yeah, no, that's a when you put it like that, that makes total sense. Um, yeah.
So another case of Siva being rampant, Siva improving itself, is that when we go into the 0 hour mission, the ultimate gain is to stop Aramis, who is breaking into a cryptarch vault to steal a powerful weapon. The weapon that it was stealing was an Outbreak Prime, except it wasn't. When we defeat the followers of Aramis, we don't defeat Aramis herself. We just defeat those loyal to her. We get an Outbreak Perfected. We don't get an Outbreak Prime. So this was just sitting behind a glass case for however long, and all of a sudden it's no longer Outbreak Prime. It's Outbreak Perfected. So the Siva weapon modified itself. Like there's this countless times where it just like really is being screamed in our face that Siva is working on its own. Siva is
Mhm.
Yeah,
doing its own thing.
I guess with the evolution of the weapons as well was kind of a hint back in D1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that little infographic I kind of put together of
Mm-hmm.
showing the regular, common, and rare weapons that
Yeah.
evolved into SIVA weapons, and then we got an even more evolved version, which was the Outbreak Prime Alpha, the first one, which was Shiro's Kit Bash uh, creation,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
Oh
somewhat.
yeah, wasn't it? Yeah. Huh. Forgot
because
about that.
because the funny thing is that now we have, because in original D1 we didn't have a few explanations for some things, but remember when they, and it wasn't a retcon, it was just like an elaboration. Remember we learned about Wolfpack rounds and what they did and how they came about,
I
and
don't
then we,
remember learning about it.
okay,
I
all
remember
right,
it being a
well,
thing. I don't remember them saying this is what Wolfpack rounds do.
okay, well,
I
there
don't
was like a
remember that
hint,
either.
that had something to do with that as well.
Huh.
Let me see. I don't have it up in front of me,
All right.
but
What what
Well,
was the gun you were talking about the related to Shiro?
Outbreak Prime.
yeah,
Was
it's
that was that
yeah, out,
Shiro's?
Yeah, because he sends
well,
us on the quest, or we go to
yeah,
him to get it.
Ah.
Like kind of like we go
Hmm.
to Eris to get Touch of Malice.
yep.
Ah, yeah.
I forgot about that. That's a throwback.
Hmm.
But actually, until 0 hour, also in Destiny 2, Siva has been teased again and again and again and again, and it's just like never really come in. We have a mission on Nessus where we're going to the Exodus Black, and Cade will say like something along the lines of, "Remember Siva? Saladin still talks about you, Wolfie," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's also an Eververse ship, Domino, New Domino. Rhino, do
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, the first domino.
First Domino, which has the
Yeah,
Siva
the
symbol on it.
I gotta say something about that ship.
Hmm.
So when Forsaken first dropped and that ship came up, I just thought it was cool looking, right? So I was
Yeah.
playing with shaders. You don't notice it until
No,
you
it's
put
subtle.
a shader on there. It has a big fat SIVA symbol.
Yeah.
And it's like it's on the other side when you do the preview as well. It's not on the side
Yes.
that you'd
And you can't
normally.
rotate a ship, so you can only see it in orbit.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so, before Destiny 2 came out, we saw that there was supposed to be a strike on Nessus where we're fighting a Siva oriented enemy, whether it's a splicer or just a fallen trying to use Siva. We don't know.
Mhm.
Ultimately, that seems to have become Thavix in the Exodus Down strike that everyone loves so much.
Yeah.
But it never came out. We never actually got Siva on Nessus. Sure, Cade
Mhm.
mentions it, but it never was really there. And then when Forsaken came out, on the Tangled Shore, we also saw a Siva symbol on one of the crates, and everyone was like, "Oh, Siva's gonna be on the Tangled," myself included. Siva's gonna be on the Tangled Shore. We're so excited for it. And then when you actually go to that exact spot, there's no Siva logo. So it just feels like someone at Bungie has been like, and then we're gonna preview this, and then we're gonna preview, and it's never gonna be there. Siva's not actually gonna come back in the game, just to tease it, just so we never forget it. And what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna show something I pulled up here. So right here is from this week's TWAB, and this is some Eververse stuff. And let me actually get rid of that Rhino panel because I always forget about that. So from right to left, we see this little exotic ornament. Rhino thinks it's One-Eyed Mask. I mean, I don't know. Emblem or ghost. Oh, that's a ghost projection. That makes a lot more sense. Ghost with a backpack for its own ghost. Another projection. And then right over here, we have what is very clearly, for once, because everyone likes to say if it's red, it's Siva. Very clearly, Siva red vines and pyramids on. Would you guys say those are Titan gauntlets?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the those look like
you know
the
them.
yeah. I forgot the name of the gauntlets, but yes, those are those.
Oh,
Those are those one.
with the Synthoceps? Because
No,
that would
no,
make
no.
sense.
That would be cooler though. Yeah, so I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll say that.
I don't know. They look very Titany. I wouldn't like to guess which ones they were.
Do you know what Synthoceps is, by the way? Just real quick.
Go for it. Explain it.
It's roids.
Oh, okay.
Synthoceps was a it was a steroid that bodybuilders and well, I say it's a steroid. It was an anabolic pre-steroid that was metabolized by your body. So weightlifters would use it as a way to, get big muscles, and they would get huge veins, and then, be stronger.
But for the purpose of it, Siva is definitely coming back within Season of Opulence in some fashion. Like, if we're gonna have Siva-fied gauntlets, I'm very upset that it seems only Titans will have it, because usually they don't. That's not like a transcending theme. If one person gets
Maybe
it, not everyone gets it.
Everybody will probably get an ornament in some Siva form.
But I do think, I know one of the things that you mentioned before, Anon, is the fact that I think it's likely that at least, I don't know if it will be the raid or if it will be just part of Season of Opulence.
Maybe just a quest.
Place. Yeah, well, yeah. I think there's definitely going to be involvement with the Leviathan, and we know that that there have been hints that there's Siva on Nessus, and obviously Leviathan is but it's
consuming
currently eating
Nessus.
Yeah, om nom. So yeah, I would. I feel as though I don't know. I think it's I wouldn't probably bet on it, but I think it's pretty likely that there's going to be some Siva on the Leviathan. That's what I would.
You think so?
Yeah.
I would love that personally. I'm just not sure if I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
What would what would be crazy though? Because Baxter's kind of talking about article I wrote for the Ishtar Collective, and I go through a number of possibilities for the Crown of Sorrow raid, and one of them was that maybe Siva's on the Leviathan, maybe Aramis is going after the Leviathan. It's posted in chat if anyone would like to actually read it. Maybe Aramis is going to go after the Siva on the Leviathan that was consumed from Nessus. But what if Siva actually got on? What if Siva did actually get on the Leviathan, and what if it took over the Callus robots? Like, what if we got Siva-fied Callus robots?
Let me just say, I loved what you wrote. That was cool as hell, because
thank you.
It made me think more to what I had already kind of thought was going to happen. I just didn't think about all the ways that you made it seem like it could happen.
Yeah. That was the purpose of it.
Yeah. Well, no, it was
to make
great.
people think. Like, there's not just one possibility. There's many possibilities. Go crazy with it. Like, think about everything that can happen, because it's so up in the air.
Yeah.
It would be an epic fight, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
what would, speculation wise, just real quick, why would you think we would need a frame to help us in the Leviathan, or why would we encounter a frame?
What are you talking about by a
I'm
frame?
just talking about the picture for the season. It's got a frame holding a sword.
Oh, you mean Benedict?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
we don't know
Benedict's
specifically if it's
that's
Benedict.
Benedict. That is
You
Benedict.
think? Well, it's not Trader's Fate.
It's Traitors Perfected.
Yeah.
So it says in the last this
Thank
week
you.
of Bungie, as season of the Drifter comes to a close, a new source for powerful rewards will emerge. The Drifter will return to his role as your Gambit hype man, and Benedict 9940 is about to become your source for brand new secrets and rewards. Which I think, I don't know, maybe there's another frame that looks really like Benedict and has
Well,
a
I mean,
sword.
all frames look alike. I'm sorry if that's racist.
Whoa, whoa,
Well,
whoa!
okay. Hold on.
I
So,
apologize.
so
That's
first
not
of all, yeah, first of all, whoa. Second of all, we have a frame and he's already below. So once you do the raid, which is funny, once you do the raid on the Leviathan, you go downstairs and good old Benedict has got a big red eye, right?
Yeah, but he's gonna move to the
Now,
annex.
sure.
And he's been up all night as well, so
Yeah,
break.
It's too much coffee, too much SIVA.
he's working two jobs: liaison to the Emperor and sweeper. That's exhausting.
Yeah. So and then my wonder or my ponder is, and I hate to bring it up because it's like beating a dead horse at this time. Why does Callus have a frame underneath all of that fat flesh?
I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. So
That's his own flesh too. That's gross,
it's
right?
disgusting.
Yeah, that's.
I will
yeah.
bring that up every chance I get.
Yeah.
The
And the
flesh
Cabal
on
are
the
morphs,
robots are his
whatever that
flesh.
means.
I do. I mean, while I think based on the foreshadowing, and based on, like I said, I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we encounter Siva on the Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
I actually hope that the focus. I mean, it could be both, but I really hope that the focus of the next raid on the Leviathan is more around Callus's true form.
Mm-hmm. Whatever that
Um,
might be.
Yeah,
Even if it is literally what we saw as his stand-in robot, even if that's what he actually looks like, whatever his true form is.
if that's what he
Right.
actually looks like, I'm not going to believe it. I just refuse because there's that entry that says, it's
Secrus.
Secrus. I was going to say.
I think it's
Secro.
the robes of
Totally.
Secrus.
Yeah, it is. It is Secrus. Secrus is when Callus is talking about Secrus, he says, you know, he could basically see through my disguise.
Yeah.
What is it he says again? It's something like he still wouldn't be able to guess what I actually look like, or something like that.
Secrus is the Baron of Shanks. He is a fallen that Callus made a shadow, and when Secrus sees the Callus stand-in that we see in the raid, or whatever Callus stand-in was currently being used, Secrus was able to say, "I know machines. You're a machine. You're not the real Callus."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Hey, I found the snippet that talks about Galahorn and Siva.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay,
interesting.
it was in Rise of Iron, and it was about the Iron Galahorn, and it says Beauty and Destruction. This commission is a commemoration. They deserve something dependable. These men and women did not survive the gap so that you could make art! Exclamation point. Victor Lomar, from a transcript of the Project Himdall development log. It says, the refurbished Galahorn carried into battle by the newest Iron Lord is a melding of new and old. The time-tested Crux and Lomar design combined flawlessly with Shiro's modified SIVA tech.
Mm-hmm.
This result, a peerless weapon that embodies beauty and destruction and delivery. We playing with fire, boys.
I mean, we don't have the Iron Galahorn. Or would it be the
I know.
Iron Gallo perfected horn? now.
So where is it now?
Why would the perfected go in the middle of the Gjallarhorn?
Because that's how it works. It's got to be edgy.
It doesn't. That's. It would be the. It would either be the Iron Gjallarhorn perfected,
Uh-huh.
or
That's too much
perfected
words.
Gjallarhorn. Perfected Iron Gjallarhorn.
Perfected horn of Galar iron.
I would that's acceptable. Yeah.
It's wolf perfected pack rounds.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, that's basically like that's how it's gonna work, right? The Wolfpack rounds that it's gonna be nanites, and that's another thing. Now that we're talking about Galahorn, Galahorn was previewed in one of the Vidocs. It was the Galahorn sights. It didn't fire, but someone was looking through Galahorn sights in one of the Forsaken Vidocs. So
What?
yeah, that was one of the things that just people saw once. They freaked out about it for 5 minutes and then they forgot about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit, we all forget about a lot of things.
Yeah, we do.
Like it's funny how much stuff is in the game, and we move on to the next big thing, and then we're deep within the story, and then we go, "Oh crap, I forgot about that."
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it'll come with a Season of Opulence because technically, I mean, it's hard to say because we've had Abaddon and Nova Mortis previewed for like a year before it even came in.
Yeah,
So, like,
which
maybe,
made Thunderlord somehow.
Hmm?
Yeah, the lore behind them. It was, the two together, and now you have Thunderlord.
Oh, I don't know what you mean.
Because the art, what was it? The artist and the scientist.
What about it?
Well, okay, so Abaddon and Nova Mortis was the artist, right? And then Abaddon was the scientist.
I don't know what you're
Is that
getting
how
at.
the story? Oh,
I don't know I don't know what you're referring to. Do you have
they
a?
loved
It
each.
sounds familiar. I just don't remember. Like you're
Uh,
coming halfway into the story
I know. I'm trying to remember it
because
myself.
Thunderlord was the original, and then the creator also made Abaddon and Nova Mortis.
Yes.
But what I mean is Abaddon and Nova Mortis, or rather Fire Lord and Void Lord, as it was called at the time, was previewed in Vidocs. People were like, "That's a Solar Thunderlord. That's a Void Thunderlord."
Yeah.
And everyone's saying, "When
Yeah.
are we gonna get it? When are we gonna get it? Or are we gonna get it now? Or are we gonna get it now?" And then finally, in year 3 of the Dawning, we ended up getting them. But it was like seen in Taken King. In year 2, it just took a year for it to finally come up. And same thing with what is now Wardcliff Coil, the Dubious Volley. That was seen in Taken King too. And everyone was like,
Yeah.
"Oh," or maybe it was Rise of Iron. And everyone's like, "Oh, that's gonna replace Galahorn. It's gonna be the new rocket launcher." Blah blah blah. And it
Yeah.
came out
That was
in
such a
B
good one.
two.
Hmm.
So many things just get previewed and then they get worked on and worked on and worked on.
Hmm.
And so yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can look through when you go through like the art station. Like a lot of the artists from Bungie put up, um, like really early designs of different things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how different they are. Um, like there's some. So I just opened ArtStation just there, and like the one of the first things that came up is like some concept art that they put together for um the Dreaming City, and
Mm-hmm.
you can see how it's related to what we got, but it is also totally different from what we got. Um, Obviously, I suppose scenery and locations are different again from weapons, and there tends to
Up on
be
the screen.
less concept art for weapons. But
Mm.
yeah, still the amount of work that goes into them before we actually see them is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like that one really cool. I forget the artist. It shows the Siva, or it shows the Warmind layer with like ships that look like they could take off at any moment.
Oh yeah,
I was
I
hoping
think I
we'd
know.
see some awesome Warmind ship fleet.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean I can understand how some there are definitely some concepts that when you actually think about them, it's like, okay, well that probably wouldn't work, and you can understand why they went with a different
Yeah. But
route.
then some make
But
it in the game years later.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Sometimes they,
some
a good example of that is the Five Races concept art. Did you ever see that?
yeah.
Hmm.
Where okay, I'm gonna look that up really
I feel like we
fast.
talk about that every few episodes.
We did, don't we?
Yeah.
But so it's really old concept art, and it depicts the uh, the five races. Open image, new tab. Here we go. Oh, that's really small.
Yeah, it's hard to get a good big picture of it. There's only ever been small versions of it on the internet. I've tried to find a good one.
Yeah. So we're gonna show this right now on stream. It's gonna be a little messy, but so from it's really blurry because I can only find the small one. But going from left to right, we have what are the Vex down here. You can't really make it out, but there's like goblin heads, and then their little eye, and like
Yeah.
radiolaria floating. Over here we have servitors, catches, skiffs, a fallen.
And a mech frame.
We're gonna get back to that. Cabal, drop pods, hive, like shifty nonsense. And over here we have the pyramids, a murky darkness, and some weird jackal looking shape. But so in Black Armory, we got the new raid where we fight Insurrection Prime, who is very similar to this dude right here. And I actually asked, I forgot, he's on Twitter. He keeps doing these really awesome things where he's like, I'm going to answer questions about like raids and stuff. And I asked him, was Insurrection Prime inspired at all by this original photo? And he said that he can't remember for sure, but he thinks that it did come up. And it just feels very like, how can no one there be like, I remember this old concept art. Like, I am a fan of this old concept art. And so much is just coming back. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always get excited about that. Especially because if Thunderlord's original quest came back from E3, if Insurrection Prime came back, if the pyramids came back, you know what else is going to come back? Aldrin, who is a guardian and not Aldrin, pointing a gun at us and saying, in the wild, this is how we talk.
That would be funny as hell.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
That'll be the
I don't
prequel.
know.
It's going to happen.
Maybe.
100%. It's going to happen. I would put like all of your money on it. I would. In a heartbeat.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
I would.
You wouldn't.
So, okay, so back to Siva. Why do we
Yes.
think why do we think that Siva has two visual forms of itself, like the red vines, which is when it takes over people or flesh or animate, or I don't know. And then we have the other more triangular pyramided shape, whatever you call it.
Because
So-
triangle is, or a pyramid is the strongest shape. I mean, like, right? Is that not like you can make
Sure,
anything out of enough
triangulate.
triangles?
Yeah, we did say that. once.
Anything?
Yes.
Yes, you can make a circle. You can make another triangle. You can make a square. You can make
Out of enough, yeah, you can.
the whole game because it's made out of polygons.
I feel like you got very defensive about that and all. Like,
You
I was
shouted
just
anything at me.
Yeah, I was just being silly. Like,
I am so betting
mean-
all of your money on that other thing I said earlier.
cool. But yeah, I mean, triangles are amongst the strongest of shapes.
But engrams,
Top 10 easily.
Well, engrams are a
Engram.
form of matter, so they don't count.
yeah. What if we're playing with engrams and they're connected some way?
I don't know where you're going.
Well, I mean, I guess so. Are you saying that like SIVA shapes look a bit like engram shapes?
No, I'm just saying that you
Right.
can make an
Then I
engram
don't
out
know
of
where
the
you're
SIVA
going either.
shape.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
guess
you can't make
All I think
you
about
can't make
is
SIVA shapes out of engram shapes.
if you have enough of them,
You
I
cannot.
keep thinking about
yeah, you can.
the concept art of the Vex worshiping the darkness, the heart of the darkness, and it's an
Mhm.
engram frame around it.
It was not an engram frame around it.
Oh, but it looks the same
It
shape.
was a ring.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
it was a
It
The
ring.
was like
concept art.
it was like a circle like that.
Which concept art?
Mm-mm. I'll show you. I'll find it and show you.
Also, Danny says maybe the triangles are the final shape.
Are we getting into the final shape now?
I
I
mean, we're
think
always
we
kind of getting into the final shape.
I think we are responsible for the triangle ships.
It's us from the future coming back to kill us before we make a huge mistake.
That would be bizarre as hell.
But wait, if they
But
kill us
everything
before we
was a
make the
dream.
huge, if they kill us before we make the huge mistake, then who's going to travel back in time to stop us from making the huge mistake?
The
That's not how
stranger.
time travel works.
Don't listen. If you're going to get defensive about triangles, I'm going to get defensive about time travel.
That's not how time travel works.
It is how.
Illuminati confirmed.
Have you
It's
even
exactly
seen
how-
Die Hard?
I mean, I guess the cop in Die Hard was on Family Matters, so
Mm. I'd like to see. I think that would make a good film, a Die Hard where. Well, actually, I was going to say where John McClane travels back in time.
right.
But actually, what would be better is if Hans Gruber traveled back in time.
Oh.
Or forward in time?
Bruce
We should have
Willis
said-
was dead the whole time.
Die Hard spoilers. We should put a tag up.
I mean, I've never seen Die Hard, so...
Are you serious?
Yeah, at this point, I refuse to see it because it's like I get that reaction every time I say I've never seen Die Hard. And I'm like, I just want to keep getting that reaction.
It's a crappy movie. Don't watch it.
I know, like, it clearly is.
Clearly.
If it wasn't crappy, I would have seen it by now. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, but you know there's loads of Die Hard references in Destiny.
Okay.
Like what?
The whole of Destiny is actually just a reimagining of the original Die Hard film.
Rasputin, clearly Hans Gruber.
No. God, Hans Gruber's the Hive.
Oh, Hives Gruber?
Well, it doesn't work. No, you can't look into it in that. It's a loose interpretation.
Uh-huh. Hive God, Hans Gruber.
Exactly.
Okay.
And his son
His son?
is, Die Hard 2 is all about the son of Hans Gruber,
Okay.
which is just the relationship between obviously it's inverted, but it's the relationship between Oryx and Crota. I mean, this is all. I'm really surprised. Okay, anyway, let's move on.
I'm surprised by you. Usually you're not the one to derail it that hard.
Wouldn't you think that if SIVA was taking over weapons and becoming perfected by its own or on its own or whatever, that somebody would know about it?
Well, we know about it now.
Well, we know about it,
Oh,
but somebody else had to
Well, I
have
mean,
known
then-
about it.
Would that
Maybe
not
the
be
cri-
one of the reasons that the Cosmodrome is quarantined right now?
It could be. I mean, we don't really know
Yeah,
why
I
it's
guess.
quarantined.
I mean, SIVA
And it could be-
there was a SIVA outbreak in the Cosmodrome. Now it's quarantined.
It could also be that the Cryptox knew or know about this.
What I think is weird is that before Aramis's troops even got SIVA, the 0 Hour mission, it had the SIVA splicer cuts in the glass, and it was like only right there, Like did they go through the same path that we did? Like how did
Like
they
to
get
get
there?
into the-
How did they get there and not just leave cuts throughout the whole mission?
Do you think they have a portal gun?
I was trying to be serious.
I had to stop myself from making Die Hard references as you said that, actually, because there is some relevance there.
There is
But
not.
there is no, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. Um,
Yeah, they went the
Okay.
short. Just
Yeah.
like Danny said, they went the short way. They
Yeah.
came in at the hangar at the back, which is also where Mithrax came in at the end. He's like, "What? Why'd you go this way? You had 20 minutes to do this mission, and you went through the whole tower. Like, why'd you take the scenic route? You have a ship. Come over here."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Doesn't make much sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's Siva glitching. It's glitching through walls.
All right. Well, so I have one last kind of unrelated thing that I actually wanted to talk about because I feel like we don't have much more to say about Siva, and we are just like off, horribly off the rails.
Well, there's so much to cover.
So, with Forsaken, we got playing cards, or some people got playing cards, and specifically that's upside down now. The Drifter card, they have little text about the characters underneath, right? And so the Drifter card reads his status unknown, believed to be the errant gunslinger redacted who disappeared long before the Vanguard's rise. If confronted, do not engage and upload any conversations and reconnaissance to Vanguard channel SY06. But with Season of the Drifter, that's beginning to feel like that's not accurate. Right? Like saying believed to be the errant gunslinger, and we have evidence saying that Drifter doesn't have a single class, or that he's unknown to what class he is at the very least, because he doesn't
Right.
believe in the Traveler's Dogma. And also saying that he went missing before the Vanguard's rise. And so the Vanguard's rise was at the very least along with the tower, if not before the tower. And we also now have evidence that the Drifter was in the tower at least on multiple occasions for the Orin contact, before Orin became the emissary. And in 0 Hour, we get a Drifter ship. It is very clearly a Drifter ship. It is scraps and pieces. It has its logo on it, and we get that from pieces in the tower. So what I'm just wondering is, do you think this status of the Drifter, this card that tells us a little bit about him, do you think it holds any weight, or do you think it's just nonsense at this point and it should just be disregarded?
I think it could probably just be what's the word? I think it could be explained.
Yeah. Because it says believed to be. Oh, we were wrong. You know? Like that's all they have to say.
They always put loopholes in their stories for themselves to back out of at any moment. I mean, they could just, if they wanted to make that permanent, they could just say, "Oh, well, he was hidden. Nobody saw him."
Yeah, I guess. And that's what it would be. He snuck in, he snuck out.
Yeah.
Which isn't even like a loophole. Like that just makes sense to his character. Of course he's not gonna hang. He's not gonna be going, "Hey, Zavala, I'm back." He's gonna sneak in and sneak out. That is literally his character. It makes sense. I'm just saying, it feels like whenever we get like an outside source of information like this, that we have to take it so heavily with a grain of salt that it might be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
inaccurate.
was there not something else in one of the? I was just looking through. I don't have the playing cards. I don't know if they just didn't sell them in Europe, or if you had to. I don't know.
It was a GameStop thing, so they didn't.
Yeah, but there is a GameStop.
Well, there's Game.
No. There's Ireland has game. It's weird. Ireland has GameStop.
Oh, you're Irish?
I'm not.
Oh.
Oh my! I live in Ireland.
Uh-huh. So you're Irish?
Oh my goodness.
Let's talk about Die Hard.
No. Continue.
Okay,
No.
so I have this vague recollection that there were a few of the cards that just had things in them that didn't quite match up with. I can't looking through them now. I can't see anything else, but I don't know if
did you
there's
look through them?
something. I was just looking through. There's somebody posted them online, and I was just looking through some of the descriptions on them, and I can see the Drifter one, and yeah, that doesn't.
It
That
just
doesn't
doesn't
make
sound
any
like
sense.
it's right.
No,
Like, who do they
it's
think that he was? Because that made people say, "Is the Drifter Shin Malphur?"
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could maybe what is it? Dredge and Hope. Maybe
Well,
believed to be
that
the
was the
errant.
Drifter.
Yeah, but it could be believed to be the errant gunslinger Dredge and Hope, who disappeared. Well, is that long before the Vanguard's rise? I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it could have been. I don't know. It's kind of up in the
So who
air.
do you think?
I just don't know
Who do
why
you,
he appears to be called a gunslinger when he denies using the light. You know, that's what concerns me. Although when he was Jermaine, didn't he like harness solar power to like kill a guy?
I don't remember.
He was like
But it could
cauterizing a
be.
wound and then he just like burned him to death.
Oh yeah, there was something.
So I mean,
Oh yeah.
maybe it does hold water.
But equally though, I mean, I don't know. You s-
Neither do I.
I don't know. I don't know. It's really strange, and completely forgotten that that card existed.
Yeah, I think about it a
Um,
lot.
hmm.
It's one of those things that you just never know.
Strange.
so who do you think they're talking about when they say patient zero?
Where
What do
did
you
they say
mean? Like the
patient
ornament?
zero?
Yeah.
The streamer, I guess. I don't know.
And then you
I
have
think you're looking too hard into it.
memory. Well, you have the memory of the plague bundle.
Is that where patient zero is?
No, no, no. I'm just trying to connect the dots here because you have the memory of the plague,
Well, I just think
which is
it's a clever name for a nanite plague weapon, you know? Like they're not I think you're reading too much into it, to be honest.
That is kind of what we do, though. Oh.
yeah.
You got me there.
I mean, it's the Warmind. Okay, the memory of the plague is the Warmind themed version of Outbreak Prime.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Uh-huh.
I do agree with the non. I feel as though, pandemic and patient zero are both just terms to do with outbreaks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that, that would
absolutely.
that would be my guess.
So you don't think there's anything thematically there other than just the visual?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's just the name that is fitting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there was more, if there was another connection,
Hmm.
we could like reassess that. But my feeling is it's just
Yeah, it
yeah,
definitely
like
needs more.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I don't even know I don't even know what it would need to influence me into thinking maybe there's more to it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we got the bad juju ornament like years ago, we had one that had
Dragon's
it.
Bane.
Yeah, Dragon's Bane. It came with an Ahamkara skull on it, which
Right.
it's like, oh, cool, Ahamkara skull. But that was kind of the end of it as well. It wasn't like I wonder if Toland is killing Ahamkaras. It was just cool. It's got an Ahamkara skull. It's got it's named Dragon's Bane. The end. You know.
I'm really glad that like items have previews in the API now
Yeah.
because it's like I was just
Thumbnails
looking at
suck.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
I think that's our show for this week. So we would be back on the 9th of June, which is the week of the launch, and it's almost a week after the Crown of Sorrow raid. So I mean, those seems like that's probably going to be the topic.
Yeah,
Somewhere within that.
we should have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean,
Oh,
on
absolutely.
the 30th, we should be getting a little bit more about the.
What
Right
happened
now,
there?
Sorry.
we should be getting more about the Season of Opulence as well. this week. So, for people that just really don't want to wait for us to talk about it, read it yourself. Think about things yourself. And then come here live on, forgot the date already, June 9th June 9th at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time, and you can come into chat and you can tell us what you think, and we'll see it, we'll talk about it too, we'll probably bring it up.
That's 2 p.m. UK time,
Ireland,
or 2 p.m. also Ireland time, or 3 p.m. Central European time, I believe.
neat.
For you European.
It's really early for people in California. That's why Guardian's not here.
Yeah, he likes to sleep.
Yeah, he's got family coming over. All right, so that's our show this week. If you came in late, don't worry. We'll be. I've gotten better with editing, so it shouldn't be that long. It usually takes me like an hour just to cut the minute off the front of the show. That is just like live soon in silence. But yeah, so bye.
Bye.